I'm 15 years old, standing out in the pouring rain, thunder crashing all around me like the world's ending, and my own stepmother has just slammed the door in my face, screaming, "Get out and never come back." All because of a lie she told my dad, a vicious, twisted lie that painted me as some kind of monster. I had nowhere to go, no money, just the clothes on my back soaking through, and I remember huddling under a tree, shivering, thinking this was it. This was how my life was going to end. But oh, she had no idea that her get out was going to turn into the biggest comeback of my life, a revenge so sweet it still makes me smile years later. I turned that betrayal into fuel, built myself up from nothing, and made sure she regretted every word. But tell me, if you were in my shoes, kicked out as a kid because of someone's cruel fabrication, would you have plotted your way back to make them pay, or would you have just walked away and forgiven? I need to know. Comment below what you think, because what I did next might shock you. From that moment, drenched and alone, my mind raced back to how it all started. It wasn't always like this. My life hadn't been a total nightmare until she came into the picture. My real mom passed away when I was just 7, from a sudden illness that left my dad devastated and me feeling like the ground had been ripped out from under me. Dad was my rock back then. He worked long hours as a mechanic to keep us afloat, but he always made time for me, teaching me how to fix bikes or just sitting with me watching old movies. We were a team, him and me against the world. But about 5 years after Mom died, he met Karen at some community event. She was all smiles and charm at first, with her perfectly styled hair and that fake laugh that echoed through the house. I tried to like her, I really did, for Dad's sake. He deserved happiness, right? So when they got married a year later, I put on a brave face, even though something about her rubbed me the wrong way, like she was always watching me, judging. Karen moved in with her 2 kids from a previous marriage, a boy my age named Jake who was okay but mostly kept to himself playing video games, and a younger girl, Lily, who was spoiled rotten and threw tantrums over everything. At first, things were civil. I'd help around the house, do my chores, get good grades in school. I was that kid who didn't cause trouble, you know? But slowly, Karen started chipping away at my relationship with Dad. Little comments here and there. "Your son's so messy, isn't he?" Or "He spends too much time alone in his room. What's he hiding?" Dad would brush it off, but I could see the doubt creeping in. Then came the favoritism. Her kids got new clothes, gadgets, while I was stuck with hand-me-downs. If something went missing, it was always my fault. I remember one time Lily's favorite doll disappeared, and Karen accused me of taking it to be mean. Turned out, Jake had hidden it as a joke, but I was the one grounded for a week. It built up like a storm cloud, and I felt myself getting angrier, more withdrawn. School was my escape. I had a few close friends, like my best buddy Mike, who lived down the street. We'd hang out after classes, talking about dreams of getting out of this small town someday. I was into art back then, drawing comics and stuff, and my teachers said I had talent. But home life was suffocating. Dad started working even longer hours to support the bigger family, so he wasn't around to see how Karen treated me. She'd make snide remarks when he was gone. "You're just like your mother, always causing problems." That hurt the most because Mom was kind and loving, nothing like the picture Karen painted. I tried talking to Dad once, but he got defensive, saying I needed to adjust, that blending families was hard. I swallowed my pride, thinking it'd get better. But then came the incident that changed everything, the lie that led to, oh, that stormy night. It was a Friday evening, and I'd come home late from art club. Karen was in the kitchen, fuming about something. Turns out her expensive necklace was missing from her jewelry box. She immediately pointed the finger at me. "You were the only one home alone yesterday," she yelled. I swore I hadn't touched it. I didn't even know where she kept her stuff. Dad came home to the chaos, and Karen spun this tale about how I'd been acting suspicious, how I'd complained about not having nice things. She even cried, saying she felt unsafe with me around. Dad looked torn, but he believed her. They searched my room, found nothing, but that didn't matter. Karen insisted I was lying, that I'd probably sold it already. The argument escalated, with her demanding I confess. When I wouldn't, she turned to Dad and said, "If he stays, I'm leaving with the kids." That was her ultimatum, and Dad, exhausted and manipulated, chose her. He told me to pack a bag and go stay with my aunt for a while. But it was pouring outside, a massive storm rolling in, and my aunt lived hours away. I begged him to wait, but Karen pushed, "Get out now." And just like that, the door slammed. Standing there in the rain, I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. How could Dad believe her over me? I walked for what felt like hours, soaked to the bone, until I reached Mike's house. His parents took me in that night, no questions asked at first. They called Dad, but he said it was a family matter, that I'd be fine. Mike's mom was furious. She knew my family situation and let me crash on their couch. Over the next few days, I pieced together what happened. Turns out Karen had found the necklace the next day, tucked away in a drawer she forgot about, but she never apologized, and Dad just said it was a misunderstanding. He expected me to come back, but I couldn't. The trust was broken. Mike's family offered to let me stay longer, but I knew I had to figure something out. That's when I started plan. Not just survival, but how to make them see what they'd done. I got a part-time job at a local diner, washing dishes after school. It was grueling, but it gave me independence. I saved every penny, and with help from a school counselor, I applied for emancipation. At 15, it was rare, but my situation qualified: abandonment due to false accusations. The process was long, involving court dates where Karen tried to paint me as a troubled teen. But evidence from neighbors and teachers showed otherwise. Dad looked guilty in court, but he didn't fight for me. When the judge granted it, I was free, but alone. I moved into a tiny apartment above the diner, courtesy of the owner who took pity on me. School became harder, balancing work and studies, but I pushed through. Art became my outlet. I drew stories of betrayal and triumph, channeling my pain. As months passed, I heard through the grapevine that things weren't great at home. Karen's lies started unraveling. Jake confided in a mutual far. Ian that she was controlling, even accusing him of things. Lily was acting out more. Dad's business suffered because he was distracted. I focused on me, though, got scholarships for art school, started selling my comics online. By 17, I had a small following, sharing anonymized versions of my story. People related, and it grew. That's when the revenge seed planted. I decided to write a full graphic novel about a kid kicked out due to a stepmom's lie, mirroring my life but fictionalized. It took off, got published, and became a hit. Interviews followed, and though I never named names, locals knew. Karen's reputation tanked, people whispered. Dad reached out, apologetic, but it was too late. The storm that night wasn't just weather, it was the start of my rebirth. I built a life without them, successful and independent. But was it worth it? The pain lingered. Still, I wouldn't change it. It made me strong. Looking back, my childhood before Karen was simpler, almost idyllic in hindsight. Ed and I lived in a modest house on the edge of town, the kind with a big backyard where I'd play for hours. After Mom died, we clung to each other. He'd tell stories about her, how she loved baking cookies on rainy days, her laugh like music. Those memories kept her alive. School was easy. I was the artsy kid, always doodling in notebooks. Teachers encouraged me, saying I could go far. Friends like Mike were my support system. We'd bike around, dreaming of adventures. But loneliness crept in. Dad dated sporadically, but nothing stuck until Karen. She was a receptionist at a doctor's office, polished and poised. Dad met her at a fundraiser for the local hospital. He came home beaming, saying she'd bring light back into our lives. I was cautious but hopeful. The wedding was small, at the courthouse, followed by a backyard barbecue. Jake and Lily seemed nice enough. Jake shared my interest in games. Lily was cute with her pigtails. But cracks showed early. Karen redecorated, erasing Mom's touches, her curtains gone, photos rearranged. I'd find my things moved, like she was asserting dominance. Dad said it was her way of making it home. Daily life changed. Mornings were chaotic with 4 kids. 3 kids and me. Karen assigned chores unevenly. I'd clean the kitchen while her kids watched TV. If I complained, she'd say, "Life's not fair, learn that now." Dad, working overtime, missed it. Dinners became tense. She'd praise Jake and Lily, ignore me. Once I aced a test, she said, "Good, but don't get cocky." Her words stung, building resentment. I retreated to my room, drawing more. My comics featured heroes overcoming villains. Subtly inspired by her, the favoritism escalated for Christmas. Jake got a new bike, Lily dolls, me socks. Dad noticed, added a sketch pad, but it highlighted the divide. I tried bonding with Jake, we'd play games, but Karen discouraged it, saying I was a bad influence. Why? Because I questioned her rules, like when she banned me from the living. room TV, claiming I hogged it. Untrue. I confided in Mike, who said she sounded jealous. Maybe I resembled Mom, a reminder of Dad's past. Then came smaller lies. Karen told Dad I skipped school. False, but he lectured me. Another time, money missing from her purse. She implied me, but Lily confessed later. No apology. It eroded trust. By 14, I avoided home, staying at Mike's. His parents were kind, sensing issues. Dad and I argued more. He'd defend Karen, saying I was rebellious. I wasn't, just hurt. The necklace incident was the peak. It was gold, a gift from her ex. She wore it often, flaunting it. Thursday, I was home alone briefly after school. Karen came back early, but I was in my room. Friday, she discovered it gone. Accusations flew. "You resent me, so you took it," she screamed. I denied, but she searched my room violently, tossing drawings. Dad arrived to her hysterics. She wept, saying she'd tried being nice, but I hated her. Dad, conflicted, asked if I did it. My no W asn't enough. Karen escalated. "He's lying, I can't live like this." They called the police, not to report, but for advice. Officer said without proof, nothing to do, but damage done. Karen demanded I leave. Storm warnings blared on TV, but she didn't care. Dad packed a bag, said, "Just for tonight, till things cool," but her glare said otherwise. Out I went, rain pelting like needles. I trudged blocks, lightning flashing, heart pounding. At Mike's, his mom wrapped me in blankets, made cocoa. "What happened?" she asked. I spilled everything, crying. "They let me stay," called Dad, who said I'd return tomorrow. But tomorrow, Karen found the necklace. Dad texted sorry, but I replied, not coming back. Days blurred. I slept on their couch, went to school. Counselor noticed my distress, suggested options. Emancipation seemed extreme, but fitting. I worked at the diner, owner Mr. Thompson sympathetic. "Kid, you've got grit," he said. Saved for legal fees. Court was intimidating, lawyer pro B. Oh no, via school. Karen testified, calling me ungrateful. Dad avoided eyes. Judge saw through it, granted freedom at 15. Life post-emancipation was raw. Tiny apartment smelled of grease, but mine. School, work, art, my routine. Friends helped furnish it. I missed Dad, but anger fueled me. Heard family struggled. Karen's control backfired. Jake rebelled, Lily withdrawn. Dad drank more. I focused forward. Comics gaining traction online. Pseudonym Storm Survivor, fitting. Stories of resilience resonated. By 16, I had thousands of followers. Sold prints, saved for college. Graphic novel idea hit, cast out. About a teen betrayed by stepfamily, rising through art. Poured soul into it. Detailed panels of rain-soaked nights, lying villains. Publishers interested. One signed me. Launch was huge, local buzz. Though fictional, parallels obvious. Karen confronted me at a signing, hissing, "You ruined us." I smiled, truth hurts. Dad called, wanting reconciliation. We met. He admitted blindness. Foe. Gave him somewhat, but boundaries set. Karen divorced him eventually, taking kids. He rebuilt alone. My success grew. Book deals, talks. That get out birthed my empire. Painful, but transformative. Would I change it? Maybe not. It shaped me. Delving deeper into the aftermath of that night, I remember the first weeks as a blur of survival mode. Living above the diner meant waking to clanging pots, but it was freedom. Mr. Thompson became a mentor, teaching business basics. "You've got a head for this," he'd say. School friends rallied, Mike snuck food, others helped with homework. But nights were lonely, staring at ceilings, replaying the door slam. Anger simmered, but I channeled it into sketches. My comics evolved from fun to profound, exploring themes of betrayal. Online, I posted anonymously at first. Platforms like DeviantArt loved my work. Comments poured in, "This hits home, keep going." It motivated me. By summer, I had a Patreon, small earnings supplementing wages. Art Tiche. Our recommended contests. I won one. Prize money for supplies. Life stabilized, but family news trickled in. Aunt called, Dad's sister, saying he missed me, but Karen blocked contact. She revealed Karen's history. Previous marriage ended in accusations. Pattern emerged. I wasn't first victim. decided to document everything. Journaled events, gathered statements from witnesses like Mike's parents. For court, but also catharsis. Emancipation hearing was pivotal. Judge, stern but fair, questioned Karen closely. She faltered under scrutiny. Dad testified reluctantly, admitting regret. Freedom granted, but bittersweet. No more legal ties, but emotional scars remained. Post-court, I avoided Home Street, focused on grades for scholarships. Art portfolio grew, applied to programs, acceptance to a prestigious online course, affordable, flexible, balanced with work. Diner shifts taught resilience. Customers shared stories, inspiring plots. One regular, a writer, critiqued my work. Add more depth, He advised. I did, fleshing characters like the villainous stepmom with nuances, her insecurities driving cruelty. As my online presence grew, I shared snippets of my real story, veiled. Followers empathized, sharing theirs. Community formed. By 16, Storm Survivor had 10K followers. Collaborated with artists, expanded reach. Graphic novel outline solidified. Protagonist Alex, 15, accused falsely, kicked out. Builds art empire exposing lies. Mirrored life, but added twists. Alex discovers stepmom's secret affair, uses it in story. Writing was therapeutic. Nights typing, reliving pain, but controlling narrative. Climax, Alex confronts family through best-selling book, leading to downfall. In real life, parallels uncanny. Published at 18, cast out hit shelves. Marketing savvy from online helped. Local bookstore event drew crowd, whispers about inspiration. Karen showed up uninvited, face red. "This is slander," she yelled. I calmly said, "It's fiction. Any resemblance coincidental. Security." Thank you escorted her. Media picked up. Interviews asked about autobiography. I admitted loose basis, focusing on resilience. Book climbed charts, royalties funded college. Dad read it, called crying. "I failed you," he said. We met weekly, rebuilding. He divorced Karen after discovering her lies extended to finances, embezzling from his shop. She moved away, reputation ruined. Jake reached out online, apologizing for silence. We bonded over shared trauma. Success brought opportunities, speaking gigs at schools, warning about family red flags. Art evolved to exhibits, but core remained. That storm night forged me. Without it, maybe complacent, now independent, thriving. So that's the situation I was in, folks. Betrayed, out on my own at 15, building from scratch while the ones who hurt me unraveled. I had to decide, forgive and forget, or use the pain to fuel something bigger, something that would make them see the error of their ways. Before I dive into how it all climaxed, the final confrontations and the sweet taste of justice, I want you to hit pause right here. Think about it. If you were me, alone in that storm, what would you have done next? Would you have plotted a quiet revenge through success, or confronted them head-on sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one, and it'll make this story even more real when I share the rest. Alright, let's get back to it. Picking up from where I left off, the graphic novel's release was the turning point, the climax where everything collided. I'd poured 2 years into it, refining every panel, every dialogue bubble. The protagonist, Alex, mirrored my journey so closely that writing it felt like therapy sessions. In the story, Alex gets kicked out in a blizzard, changed from storm for drama, and survives by selling street art. He uncovers the stepmom's past frauds through detective work, then weaves it into his comic empire. The big reveal, Alex's book launch, exposes her, leading to her downfall. In reality, the launch was at a city bookstore, far from home, but locals attended. I was nervous, palms sweaty, but the crowd cheered. Readings from key scenes, the accusation, the rainy expulsion, had people gasping. Q&A time, someone asked, "Is this based on true events?" I smiled, inspired by life but amped up. Then Karen burst in, shoving through. "You little brat, this is about me!" she shrieked. Cameras rolled, it went viral. I stayed composed, ma'am, if the shoe fits. Security removed her, but damage done. Her outburst confirmed suspicions. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #CastOutTruth trended. People dug into my backstory, finding court records, Karen's name surfaced, old acquaintances shared similar tales. Her job fired her for conduct unbecoming. Jake messaged, "She's losing it. Thanks for speaking out." Lily, now teen, distanced herself. Dad, seeing the video, confronted her. Turns out, she'd hidden the necklace herself to frame me, admitted in rage. Divorce papers served. He got nothing, as prenup protected assets. My book's sales skyrocketed from controversy. Publisher pushed sequels, I agreed, expanding Alex's world. Tours followed, schools, cons. At one, a kid shared similar story. I advised seeking help. Empowering, financially secure. Bought a house, invested. Dad moved in temporarily, helping rebuild. We talked deep, his guilt, my forgiveness. "You were manipulated," I said. Bond strengthened. Aftermath rippled. Karen tried suing for defamation but failed. Fiction protected, no names used. She relocated, isolated. Jake thrived away from her, college bound. Lily reconciled with Dad. Me? Art career boomed, gallery, shows, collaborations. But emotional scars healed slowly. Therapy helped process abandonment. I dated, built friendships, but trust issues lingered. The climax built tension over months. After emancipation, I hinted at revenge in comics, subtle jabs. Followers speculated. Novel writing was intense. Nights revising. Beta readers' feedback. Lawn. CH prep invites. Promo. Day of. Heart raced. Crowd diverse. Fans. Curious locals. Reading the storm scene. Voice cracked emotionally. Then Karen's entrance. Disheveled, yelling accusations. I froze momentarily, but training kicked in. Stay calm. Her rant recorded by attendees, uploaded instantly. By evening, views in millions. Consequences swift. Her employer, seeing video, terminated. Friends abandoned her. Dad, watching online, called immediately. Is that true? Confrontation at home epic. She denied, but evidence mounted. Neighbors recalled her temper. Divorce ugly, but he won custody remnants. Karen left town broke, bitter. For me, spotlight intense. Interviews on podcasts, TV, shared message, resilience over revenge. But privately, satisfaction immense. Book awards followed, adaptations discussed. Aftermath, therapy sessions unpacking trauma. Dad and I traveled, bonding. Jake became brother-like. Loose ends tied, no regrets. Overall, story concluded with growth, justice served organ. Ikely. Wrapping this all up, looking back on that stormy night at 15, I realize it was the catalyst for everything good in my life today. The pain of betrayal, the cold rain soaking through my soul, it could have broken me, but instead, it forged a strength I didn't know I had. I learned that family isn't always blood, that lies can crumble empires, and that rising from rock bottom is the ultimate revenge. If there's a moral here, it's this. Don't let someone's cruelty define you. Use it to redefine yourself. I've got no hate left for Karen. She's a footnote in my success story. And to anyone out there facing something similar, know you're not alone. Reach out, fight back in your way, and watch how the world opens up. All right, folks, that's my wild tale from start to finish. If you were on my side through all this, smash that like button. It means the world. Subscribe for more insane stories like this. I've got plenty more where that came from. And please, share your final thoughts on the whole mess in the comments. What would you have done differently? Would you have forgiven sooner? I can't wait to read them. I'll see you all in the next story. Take care. In conclusion, that experience taught me resilience's true meaning. From homeless teen to best-selling author, it's surreal. Moral betrayal hurts, but growth heals. Don't dwell, build. Years have passed since that stormy night turned my world upside down, but the echoes of it still resonate in the quiet moments of my life. I'm in my 30s now, sitting in a cozy studio apartment overlooking the city skyline, my walls lined with framed artwork from my graphic novels and awards from speaking engagements. It's funny how time softens the edges of pain, turning sharp memories into faded scars that only ache on rainy days. But let me take you deeper into what happened after the book's release. The parts I haven't shared before, the unexpected twists, the reconciliations that weren't perfect, and the lessons that keep unfolding. You see, revenge isn't a clean endpoint, it's a ripple that keeps spreading, touching lives in ways you never anticipate. And honestly, if I'd known how it would all play out, I might have handled some things differently. But hindsight is always 20/20ths, right? Stick with me as I unpack the extended aftermath, the hidden struggles, and how that one lie led to a chain of events that redefined not just my family, but an entire community. Right after Cast Out hit the bestseller lists, the media frenzy was overwhelming. I went from being that kid slinging burgers at the diner to doing TV interviews, podcasts, and even a TEDx talk about resilience in the face of family betrayal. People reached out from all over. Teens in similar situations, parents regretting their choices, even step-parents reflecting on their own behaviors. One email stood out from a woman named Sarah, who said my story mirrored her childhood, and it inspired her to confront her past. We ended up collaborating on a workshop for blended families, teaching communication and spotting manipulation early. It felt good, turning my trauma into something helpful. But fame came with downsides. Trolls online accused me of exaggerating, saying I was just cashing in on drama. Karen's supporters, few as they were, harassed me on social media, calling the book a hatchet job. I had to hire a manager to handle the noise, and for a while I stepped back from posting personally. It taught me that success amplifies everything, good and bad. Dad and I worked hard on our relationship. After the divorce, he sold the house, the one filled with so many mixed memories, and moved to a smaller place near me. We started therapy together, unpacking years of unspoken hurt. He admitted how Karen had isolated him, feeding doubts about my character while praising her own kids. I was blind, son, he'd say, tears in his eyes. I chose peace over truth, and it cost me you. Forgiving him wasn't instant. There were arguments, like when I accused him of weakness. But over time, we built something stronger. He even contributed to my sequel novel, sharing his perspective as the manipulated parent. It added depth, showing that villains aren't always one-dimensional. Jake and I grew close too. He moved in with Dad after high school, escaping Karen's influence. We co-created a webcomic series about brotherly bonds formed through adversity. Lily was trickier. She was young when it all happened, brainwashed by her mom. But at 18, she reached out, apologizing for her part in the favoritism. We're not best friends, but we exchange holiday cards, and she's studying psychology now, vowing to break the cycle. Karen's downfall was more tragic than I expected. After losing her job and the divorce, she spiraled. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she bounced between low-paying gigs, her charm worn thin by bitterness. One day, out of the blue, she messaged me on an old social account. "You destroyed my life." Happy now? I stared at the screen, a mix of pity and residual anger surging. Part of me wanted to lash out, but I replied calmly, "I didn't destroy anything, your choices did. I hope you find peace." She never responded, but Jake said she entered therapy shortly after. Last I heard, she's living quietly in another state, volunteering at a shelter for abused women. Ironic, but maybe redemptive. It made me question if revenge was truly sweet or just necessary for my survival. Did I push too hard with the book, or was exposing the truth the only way to heal? These thoughts haunted me during book tours, where fans praised the justice-served arc. Professionally, my career skyrocketed. The graphic novel series expanded to 5 books, each delving into different aspects of family dysfunction, abuse, neglect, redemption. Hollywood came knocking for adaptation rights. We're in talks for a streaming series. I founded a nonprofit for emancipated teens, providing art supplies, counseling, and scholarships. T's fulfilling, seeing kids like young me turn pain into purpose. One mentee, a 16-year-old named Mia, drew her own comic about escaping a toxic home. It got published, and she credits my story as her spark. Moments like that make the storm night feel worth it. But personally, I struggled with trust. Dating was hard. I'd pull away at the first sign of conflict, fearing another betrayal. It took meeting my partner, Alex, a fellow artist who'd overcome their own hardships, to open up. We met at a convention. They read my book and approached me, saying it helped them forgive their past. Our relationship is built on honesty, no secrets. We travel, create together, and even adopted a rescue dog named Storm. Cheesy, but fitting. Community impact was unexpected. In my hometown, the book sparked discussions in schools about family dynamics. Counselors used it in sessions, and a local group formed for step families to share experiences. I returned for a signing event, nervous about old ghosts. Dad see. Ame, beaming with pride. Old neighbors apologized for not intervening back then. Even Mr. Thompson from the diner showed up, hugging me like a son. Knew you had it in you, he said. It closed a chapter, showing how one lie's fallout could inspire positive change. But not everything was rosy. I dealt with burnout, constant, creating, speaking, advocating left me exhausted. I took a sabbatical, traveling solo to recharge. In Europe, sketching in cafes, I reflected on Mom. What would she think? I like to believe she'd be proud, guiding me through that rain. Now, as I write this, narrate it for you, I realize the story never truly ends. Life keeps adding layers. Recently, I got an offer to teach art at a university, sharing my journey with students. It's tempting, a new beginning. Dad's healthy, remarried happily. Jake's engaged, Lily's graduating. Karen? Silent, but I wish her well from afar. That get out wasn't the end, it was the start of endless possibilities. If you're listening and feeling stuck, remember, storms pass, and what emerges can be unbreakable. What about you? Have you turned a betrayal into triumph? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear. But wait, before I wrap this extension, let's circle back to that central dilemma. After all the fame, the healing, the ongoing ripples, was my path the right one? Did exposing the lie through art cross into vengeance, or was it justice? Pause here, think it over, and tell me below. In my position, would you have gone public with the story, or kept it private to avoid more drama? Your insights keep these tales alive. Continuing on, the extended journey included some darker moments I glossed over earlier, like the anxiety attacks during storms, where I'd relive the cold, the rejection. Therapy helped, but it's ongoing. Financially, early success was shaky. Royalties fluctuated, so I diversified with merchandise, online courses, learned business the hard way, avoiding scams, socially lost some friends who couldn't handle my fame, but gained truer ones. Overall, it's a testament to growth. Thanks for sticking through this bonus dive. Hope it adds depth to the saga.